All right. Well, I'm here with the wonderful Anya Moves. We've been working together for a few months now. Done some pretty remarkable things in terms of where she started to where she is right now. But today's really just going to be for Anya to explain her experience work with me and kind of give an insight into, what my systems look like, what it's like to work with me, and also the results you can expect. So, I guess the first question I want to ask you, Anya, is what was your situation like? Like where can be before me, like what things were you going through? What was your life looking like? What, things were you struggling with, that kind of thing?
hmm So I think before we even met, before we started working together, it was just me, right? So I was very new to everything. I kind of started my Instagram a few months before, and it was going like okay in terms of, followers, views, people interacting and everything. But I think I was at the point, I wouldn't just say it was a plateau, but I didn't really know what to do next, right? Because I was
Yeah.
getting I started with and maybe just for context, I train people, right? I help people get out of pain. So I started with in-person training, right? Then I wanted to move fully online. That's what I started doing. That's why Instagram and everything. And then obviously as a business, I wanted to scale. I wanted to grow. But with me, just coming from fitness background, maybe a little bit of corporate, a little bit of business, I didn't really know how it works, right? So I didn't know what to do, what to try, what to not try, and I think I was wasting a lot of time on that rather than just focusing on my clients, right?
Mm.
So I think I was in a question mark position. Where do
Right.
we go from A, being the current position, current situation, to B, being able to scale, fully focus just on my clients without thinking about business operations, and other things being involved, in actually getting your ideal client and actually providing the real transformation for the people, because that was my goal, right? And still is. So I think that, like, I just wasn't sure where to go next. And on that note, I also tried to look for that myself, um,
Hmm.
being like, okay, I think I need someone to help me with social media management without
Yeah.
knowing what that actually means, right? So I reached out to a few people, but unfortunately, this wasn't what I needed in that exact place. Um, so yeah, I hope that answers your question, but
Yeah, for sure.
forever about it, like how you helped me. But yeah, for the beginning, I think that was the situation where I was. Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of talk about what kind of I want to kind of understand like what was your circumstances going into creating an online brand, like, what kind of forced you to get into creating the content that you do and trying to make the impact that you make right now?
Do you mean like the actual transition from in person to online? That transition, or
Yeah, like that kind of turning point where you thought, okay, this is something that I want to do, and you went into starting your content creation.
So I think there's two perspectives, like my own, the selfish perspective, time, right? I can work from wherever I want. I literally just work on my laptop, from all over the world. It doesn't really matter because that's all I need. And I realize it's just saving a lot of time on even traveling to my clients, right?
Yeah,
Saving a
yeah.
lot of time teaching them in person, because even though that would be like, let's say, 45 an hour session, it would actually be 3 hours, right?
Mhm.
Prepping, actually traveling to the client, doing the client work, traveling back home, and doing the prep after the training, right? So 3 4 hours each client.
Mhm.
So that's the selfish, my own perspective, but also from the client's perspective, I realize it's way more, not just time efficient, but just more efficient in general in, providing real transformation, real results when you work online with people,
Yeah.
because I kind of work in my own time, they work in their own time, and then we meet up. Like, obviously depends on how you work with a particular client, but we technically don't see each other in person, but we see each other more. There's more traction, there's more action going on in our collaboration, in working together one to one. So I think that, yeah, these 2 points, um, yeah, made me change, completely switch from in person to online. fully.
100%. Yeah, and you're totally right with that. Like, even though you're not physically in person with your clients, like you're obviously able to interact with them more, have more touch points. So, have that, for that compensating for the lack of in-person interaction, like it definitely makes up for it in terms of the results, right? So,
100%.
yeah.
It's just much better, because you can interact with clients way more frequently and more often, even though you're not seeing them like one to one. But I
Mm,
can't really imagine you going to someone else's place or they coming to mine every single day, twice a day, and that's how I communicate
yeah,
with my clients on a daily basis, right? Even though they 3,000 kilometers away from me, right?
yeah.
So it's much better, yeah. If we're talking communication and just keeping the other person accountable, for example, is really important in what I do. So 100% time.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you obviously said that before you tried other, social media managers per se, other people to kind of help you with this, get the same result you've been getting now. Like, can you talk about that experience a little bit? What worked, what didn't, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, of
Yeah,
course. And simply put, I don't even know what worked and what didn't. Because Freddie, you probably know like what
yeah,
still working together. It's been a few solid months. I want to focus on what I'm the best at. Right, I'm the clinical movement coach. I help people get out of pain. That's all I want to do. Right. Obviously, could I do the rest? Probably, technically, yes. Practically, not really, because I
mm,
think doing everything in your business, like, it's really important to delegate tasks, right? So I was
exactly.
like, okay, this is what I want to take care of. My clients, their lives, transformation, end of story, right? But I
Hmm.
need someone to just come to me and tell me, Anya, you don't have this, you don't have that, you need this, you need that, right? And I'd be like, okay, let's do it. Why? Explain that to me and do that either for me or with me, right?
Yeah,
So I think, like I said earlier, when I went to a few people and I was like, okay, I'm struggling with this, what would you suggest? Like, I'm not really going to tell you, okay, do this, and that for me. Like, should
yeah,
come to me and say, like, I'm going to do that for you because you're an expert at this, I'm an expert at something completely different, right?
yeah.
So if I'm trying to like recall what we were actually talking about with other people, I think it was some sort of like social media management, some operations, but I wouldn't even call it, whatever, because I didn't have that clarity either. And,
Okay.
compared to, what we're doing right now, I know exactly what we're doing. I know exactly what we're implementing. I know exactly what's not working and not what isn't working, right? Isn't.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, that's quite interesting because despite you not having the best experience before,
Mm,
like when I first reached out to you, you seem quite intrigued. Like,
mm.
but I want to know, like, when I first reached out to you, what was your initial thoughts? Like, do you think I was full of crap? Did you think like this is
Yeah.
not the guy? Like,
I think I even remember, and it always makes me laugh, I even said like, please change your marketing strategy or something. So I remember that sentence, So I was really mean from the get-go, because I think because of the amount of messages and DMs I get every single day, people trying to do this and that for me and work with me, and because of my bad experiences in the past, I was very skeptical,
mm,
right?
hmm,
And to be honest, like how you won me, right? It's because I think you were very human. That's what I have to say.
yeah,
Just like, oh yeah, I get this. Like I would probably react in the same way.
yeah,
And then the next thing was you actually showed me exactly what I needed. So
hmm,
maybe I didn't even know what you were talking about in details because, well, I'm not an expert at that, what we established already. But you showed me what we would do step by step, and also I'm a very analytical and like I like numbers. I like step by step kind of processes, and you provided that to me. So I
yeah,
think that was it. There was no fluff, no nothing. You were like, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and these are the ABCD steps.
for sure. And like, obviously, when you came into this, you had a certain expectation of how it was going to go, right? So, talking on that expectation, like what were those expectations, and do you feel like I met them, or do you feel like I exceeded them, or what was your kind of, reaction to that?
So when we first started, yes, I had my own expectations. I obviously grow my business. I wouldn't even call it scaling back then, because that was just, going from literally not much, not very well established business
Yeah.
to being somewhat, consistent. Obviously, we can talk about revenue, profits, etc., etc. But yeah, making that massive step. So that was my expectation, right? Like I really want to see some tangible results, not just like, oh yeah, you're gonna manage my account. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't mean really anything, right? It's like if I told someone like, oh, I'm gonna help you train
Yeah.
for what, right? Like it doesn't really mean anything, right?
Hmm.
So I think from the get go, I knew, well, I had my own expectation. Like I want to grow my business, I want to help more people, and obviously I want to increase revenue, right?
Hmm.
And that was what we had in, from day one of working together. We had clear goals, not wishy-washy. We were gonna improve your business. Like improving business doesn't mean anything, right? But we wanna improve the number of clients you close every single whatever month, let's say week, blah blah blah. We want to get to X revenue, right? We want to reduce the numbers that I'm working, the numbers of hours that I'm working, for example, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was my expectations, and also that's what we established, we agreed on, and you definitely exceeded that, because now we way past that, we scaling, and working on, how would I call it, like tackling different new problems every single day.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, when you scale business.
Hmm.
But I thought we're just going to stop there, maybe. Like I didn't really know we could be where we are right now, So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's crazy how things can turn out, right?
yeah,
It just what one started from one message, and you've gone on to do
exactly. You
some
know that
incredible
saying,
things.
you don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
I
Right.
think I think
Exactly.
that was me, and I think you really clarified the second part of the I don't know why I don't know, because it's really, really important. Like obviously we don't know everything, right? Like
Yeah.
how we go about things and everything, but we have to understand, okay, we have to try this, try that, and work together towards the same goal. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to kind of touch on is um before, like your strategy before working with me was more like a lower ticket strategy, right? A lower ticket subscription. But
I even
I
forgot about
came
that, you
in,
see.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that was that was basically a distant memory at this point, right? But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before working with me, I think you had like that, low ticket app subscription.
Correct.
So I came in, I was like, yeah, we're gonna scrap that. We're gonna focus on actually maximizing the amount of money you can get per client, right? Through high ticket sales, right? So starting off from that, that's pretty big transition. And now it seems pretty much normal. It's like,
Yeah.
it's pretty much the standard for your packages and what you sell. So did you ever feel like at the start that you would be charging at the level that you're charging right now and working with the clients you're working with right now?
No, 100% no. But also, I think on top of that, on top of money and everything, I would add, like you really saw the value in me, and like how I can actually transform people's lives. And you told me, like, first of all, low ticket, anyone can like replace you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I was like, oh no, what do you mean? Like I'm going to create something once, and then people actually see results from that. But obviously that like low tickets compared to high tickets, like the price is margin, and like it's completely different, right? Like it's the difference is enormous, right? But also the transformation that you provide, from my own perspective to the clients, it's also such a different thing, right? From working with someone one to one and working with everyone kind of
yeah,
at
exactly.
the same level, right? So 100%. And going back to revenue and profits, I had no idea. Like I didn't really know how it works, and I saw people having apps and that low ticket stuff. So I was like, that's the way to go. And I thought, okay, one to one is in person, and that's not really possible because I can't really help as many people as I would like
Mhm.
to, right? And also to actually make a decent living out of it, right?
Yeah,
Because, yeah. to be honest, like I want to help as many people as I can, but also to be able to sustain that as a human being and paying rent and everything. So yeah,
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
all
and that is quite a big transition, right?
yeah
Because you've seen that with other people in your space. You
yeah.
think that's the way to go. So what made you really trust me to the point where you were like, okay, we're gonna scrap this old idea and adopt this new idea?
I think, first of all, you really had a very good, again, like step-by-step process. Like you explained all the steps to me. If we're talking about like operations, how we would implement that, how we would make that transition, everything, right? So
Mhm.
from like the business perspective, I would say that like you really know what you're talking about. Like you've done that before, and it's just like we go from step one to step two to step three. There's no like
Yeah.
fluff around it, right? But on the other hand, I think what you told me, like the transformations that you can you say provide to
Yeah.
the clients and your people, like the results that you get, is amazing, And you said like you can't really get that from low ticket thing because
Hmm.
obviously I can't really help everyone because everyone is different, right? So I
Yeah.
can't help everyone with the same thing, right? And I think that really stuck with me, and I was like, that really makes sense. So what you're saying is I can continue doing what I would be doing, the one-to-one training, but online, making a decent, amazing living out of it, right? So increasing revenue and then providing even better results, right? So I think it was all coming into one place. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really, really interesting that you said that because when it comes to providing that transformation, what you're
Mm.
doing is literally changing someone's life,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
For someone to change their life, it requires a certain level of commitment, not just from you, but also from the client, right? So
Yeah.
from that perspective, it is the most ethical thing for you to do to charge high ticket, right? And I think I did explain it to you like this, and I will continue explaining it like this to anyone that works with me to the
Yeah.
point where they understand, okay, if someone needs to work with me, they have to have a certain level of commitment. That level of commitment comes in the form of obviously financial, but with the financial, it comes with the emotional, mental, and
100%.
physical, all that stuff combined, right? So charging low ticket, while you can do it, it's not the best way to leave an impact. I'm sure you can agree on that.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Which was quite tough for me in the beginning, because I was like, oh, maybe I can actually help anyone for $10 a month, because I
yeah,
was like, we charging obviously like I really value, what I do and my expertise and everything,
mhm,
but I want to help as many people as I can. So how can I do that and also charge, enough for my services? But then you made me realize like in most cases that commitment is necessary because I can do my best if I don't have that commitment 100% commitment back, we won't get anywhere, right? And when you think about, I can subscribe probably to 10 apps for $10 and
yeah,
I'll never open them, you know what I mean? And this is how how our psychology is and how our brains work, unfortunately. So, or fortunately, I don't know. So definitely something to realize as well. This is how you actually can provide real transformation with that two-way commitment. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. And another thing I wanted to kind of touch on is obviously with any business, things will go wrong. There'll be highs and dips. I think we started on a really high note, and there was a little bit of a dip leading on to that, maybe a month or two. During that time, it was obviously quite hard because, you had such a good first month working with us. And then later on, for a month and a bit, it was a little bit quieter, right?
Mhm.
But obviously now we're doing a lot better. We're actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
sustaining a good level of income for your business. On six-figure run rates, looking to scale to multi six figures and seven figures with different acquisition strategies. But kind of tell me, like, walk us through, or for anyone watching, like, what was your thought process during those slower months?
Hmm.
And how do you feel like I contributed to shifting your mindset towards growth rather than scarcity?
and focusing on the current problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
One word, I think, reassurance, you know? And it's funny because obviously, again, linking back to, how our brains work, when we're always in like ups and downs, right? When we up, we're so happy, and when we're down, we don't really see the ups, right? So and the highs, right? So currently, because we are in a very good position, and maybe through experience and your own experience as well, you always reassure me about this is how it will be, this is how it is business, right? I don't really see the downs and coming soon or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's even difficult for me to tell you exactly how I felt in the down phase, right? But obviously I do remember I was a little bit like, oh, are we actually doing the right thing, because we changing so many things, like why do we not keep doing what we used to do all this time because it worked? Because in my head, right, like, okay, if this is working, don't change it, right?
Mhm.
But then you would always come to me like, okay, that's true, but we are trying to scale, for example, right? Trying to actually do something different. So although this thing has been working this whole time, it doesn't mean it'll enable us to go to that next step, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, right? Because what we're trying to do is actually like a massive jump, like scaling, for example, right? You name it, whatever that would be. So if you continue doing what you've been doing, it doesn't mean, and I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, it all
Yeah.
depends, right? So you also learn through the process, and you experiment, you try different things, you fail, you succeed, you fail, you succeed, and then you actually find the right way of doing these things, if that makes
Hmm.
sense, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So definitely that reassurance, like you would never say like, oh yeah, this is really bad, or maybe we say, oh yeah, this is really bad, and this is what we're going to do about it,
Yeah.
So there would always be like, okay, this is how it is, this is what we're doing. And again, I'm seeing the world with arrows. I
Hmm.
was actually talking about it the other day. It's like everything is a process, so how you
Okay.
link things together, this is how it should be. And if you just tell me like, okay, this is bad, it's like, okay, like, well, then it is bad, right? But maybe the bad is actually a good thing, right? So
Right.
so I guess always having that solution, you know, or even if we didn't have a solution at that point, we will kind of know how to approach, you know, that issue to break that down and then find that solution to the problem, So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Perfect. No, I think you explained that really well. Like, obviously, when things aren't going as well, we have to really take a step back and retrace the steps. And I remember this process very, very vividly. For like a few weeks, we were together, literally mapping out. Okay, this is what we need to do. Right. This is what hasn't worked. This is what is working.
Working.
And this is exactly the game plan moving forward. Right.
Exactly.
So when it comes to that, right, this is obviously something that you don't really see with, people online talking about scaling coaching businesses. It's all good. It's all sunflowers and rainbows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's really important for people to understand that this business is very not volatile, but it is very data driven, and
Yeah.
it's made volatile by the wrong people. A lot of
Very.
people take this business, and because they pour their heart and their soul into their products, they are very emotional towards the decisions that they make,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's very important to detach your emotions in a way from this and look at it from a very data driven perspective. What's worked? Okay, we'll double down on that. What hasn't worked? How can we either eliminate it, refine it, or build from that? And I think that's something that people don't realize you can't do on your own a lot of the time. Unless you've been in, especially if this is your first time doing this, you haven't been in the space a long time. This is your first time going into high ticket, right? You only
Exactly. Building a
like
business.
I think before we started working together, you'd never gone on a sales call in your life.
No.
This is like
No. I
insanely
was
new
like,
to you.
sales what? Yeah. Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
insanely new
100%.
to you.
Yeah.
Like,
And to just like add to that, I think what you just said, like you need people for that external point of view.
mhm,
And because when I'm the expert, I'm the business, I'm in my own bubble, So even though, for example, I'm pretty good with numbers, right? And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Tracy, like, Freddie, what the numbers, like by me or whatever, right? Because like I said before, like I'm quite analytical. So I like to draw everything out. Okay, this is matching, this is not matching, right? But I think sometimes you just need still that external opinion and be like, but now we kind of have to at the numbers, and actually try this, because you just know better because you're not in my own little bubble. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So I think what you said, like numbers, emotions, and the emotional attachment to that, it's two different things, and yeah, I don't even know how to call it, but I think yeah, having just like people, working with you and yeah, being very direct, and that's also what I really like about us working together. We like, obviously kind and everything, but then we to the point, straight to the point. Like, Anya, this needs to be done. Freddie, this needs to be done. Very direct and no fluff. Like we know where we want to be, and this is what it'll take.
yeah,
Without hard
sure.
feelings or anything. So really appreciate that. There's always clarity and transparency around anything. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And obviously, people watching this, like, they'll be thinking of different ways they can get to the results that you have gotten to or similar results. Like, but for you, in your own words, like, what do you feel like separates me from other solutions out there to get a similar result?
in one word, one sentence. Because obviously there's so many things, everything that we have been talking for the past half an hour or so. Um, but I would say definitely just being like on it, and being transparent and direct, like no fluff, like know what you get, what you can expect, and I think that's the most important thing for me, because I don't expect you to know everything. Like that would be quite weird
Yeah,
if you came to me and it's like, this is what we'll get because I know everything. I'd be like,
yeah,
no, it doesn't really work like that, like no one knows everything. So I think you being just like so much, like I learned so much from you, and it's probably just like 1% of what you know, but we all, for example, like I make mistakes, you make mistakes. I think this is like the most important thing for me, like being human and being actually action taker, like even if we succeed, we don't go like, oh my god, yeah, this is it, like that's what we're going to do now. Like you're always grounded, you're always very focused, and whatever I would throw at you or the business would throw at you, you know what to do and how to handle that, yeah.
yeah. I would say, not to big myself up, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, just looking at obviously what I've done before and for other people and obviously for you as well. It just comes down to um having that belief. Um because I'll admit there are times where I was like, okay, this isn't something I've seen before. How do I solve it? And my thinking pattern for these kinds of situations is very methodical. Again, I
exactly.
look at the actual problem, attach emotions away from that, and look, okay, what is the problem actually? Now, is this problem actually putting us in a dire situation? And if it continues, will it actually make our situation worse? Now,
Exactly.
once I understand that, I can then extrapolate what actions I need to take towards solving that problem and how much action I need to put towards it and how much attention I need to put towards it without neglecting other parts of the business.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I guess,
And I think that ability to problem solve, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt,
go
but
ahead. Yeah,
the pure just knowledge, that is something Googleable. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if you actually don't know something, you can just go to Google and how do I do this, right? But you being able to have that, you're very resourceful as well. Like you know where to look for things and everything. But then, okay, what do I do with that information? And like you said, you have your own like methods. You're very problem solving type of guy, So you have that, and from that to go to that, you like in between, you like the middleman, which is really difficult to learn as well, and you can't just like, it's not kind of one-off payment and you've got it, it's learning for experience, which you have loads of, and And yeah, just being able to break everything down into little pieces so then you can find the answer, you know? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So I guess I'll have like a couple more questions I want to ask you, just to close us off. I'll say the first thing is probably for me, or anyone watching, like, what's one thing that you would tell someone who's maybe on the fence of working with me and, has seen kind of what I can do, but it's just a little bit on the fence. Like, what exactly would you tell them to kind of push them over the edge? Because you already know what results they can get.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to say just go for it, you know, because
Yeah,
I know that's not how we we operate and everything. But whenever you like, I think I'm sure like Freddie will have the answer, you know, and I think that the trust is there. Like I trust you completely, like 100%. So maybe that's the thing, you know, just like if you're unsure about, is that the right answer, you know?
hey, there's no wrong answers. No wrong answers.
Not wrong answers. Yeah, you're right. But um, I think I would say you won't figure it out yourself, you know, to that person who's watching.
Hmm.
You need that external opinion, that external. I think Freddie is the right person, the right guy. You know, I wouldn't look any further because trying to find something better, like maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, but you literally have it on the silver platter, you know? So yeah. Really difficult to
Right.
say, you know, because I would literally just play back our whole call, you know, and say like, this is why. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for sure. No, I appreciate that for sure. And I'll say the same thing. Like, I expect that from people that I work with. I only work with people that have the ability to change people's lives. I think that energy really bounces off, like, for me to you, that mutual respect and trust, because I know you are literally out there changing people's lives. For me, that just motivates me to literally make sure that I'm doing the best of my, capabilities to get you to where you want to go, to help more people, so on
yeah.
and so forth.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Just want to add to that, you know, the mindset. I think we have very similar mindset to just life and everything, you know,
Yeah.
like you said, like you want to provide the best service, you know, because you know I am providing the best service to my clients as well. So we have that mutual goal, you know.
Mhm.
It's not just about seeing numbers and yay, let's become this business or whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
actually about the transformation, the results, you know. So yeah.
100%. And yeah, I guess the last question for me is, what's next? Like, what's now that you've kind of gotten these results, like, what is it looking like for you? Obviously, you recently moved to Amsterdam, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's kind of next for you? What are you looking towards with this
Yeah.
project?
So we are currently in the process of scaling my business even further. So obviously we're getting amazing results, amazing transformations of my clients, but also a lot of interest, right? So both of us, we making sure that we have all the right um, tools and things in place to be able to handle that load without obviously quality, that the service quality taking a hit, right?
Hmm.
But also at the same time being able to actually scale and grow our business, right? So I,
Yeah.
I guess from just, you know, back in the day when I was doing low ticket or trying or whatever, working in person and everything, establishing a solid business and making money like consistently so I can actually, for example, live in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
And then pay rent and just live my life. Being able to do this, what I love for my full-time job, to actually taking that step even further and actually, you know, we want to be, you know, when you think about chronic pain and management, you see our brand, you know. So I think this is big. Like
Yeah.
we are aiming really, really high, not just to be able to help people and be able to live off of that, but also make a real difference in this world, you know. I
Yeah.
know it sounds
100%.
massive, but it is, and this is our goal for now, you know. So
Yeah.
just scaling to the moon.
That is the goal. And I think I've told you this already, but my thing with what I'm doing and who I help is I want to create a network of people who are the go-to people in their space. I want you to be like when people think of pain management, when people think of okay, I've got some back pain, how do I get rid of this? They think of oh, Anya Moves,
Yeah,
right? You know, if someone has some issues with their business, and you know, for example, like real estate. One of my other people that I'm working with is a Airbnb coach. You know, when people think, okay, how do I scale this Airbnb business? How do I get into the business? How do I, you know, manage everything? They think of my other client, you know,
exactly.
and I want to create that network and become the go-to guy for the go-to people, right? If you truly
Exactly.
want to
Exactly
be,
that. Yeah.
if you
So now,
truly want to be
yeah,
like a master in your space, right? I want
exactly.
to be that person to help you get there.
Yeah. So it's you see, I think now we really answered that question. Why would you trust Freddie? Like, why would you just go with what he has to offer? It's because it's not just it doesn't stop at growing your business. Like that actually means nothing, right?
Yeah,
It's about that transformation, the aftermath, you know, what me as a coach is going for, right? Like I want to help people, I want to help everyone, right? Freddie is here to help me grow my business. So it enables me to do that,
yeah,
right? And not, it doesn't stop like, you know, midway or whatever. So
yeah,
that's the
100%.
best. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, I mean, that's enough of me interrogating you. I think I'm kind of satisfied with, you know, what we spoke about today, and honestly, I'm really proud of you. Like honestly, like the transformation you've made, not just as a business person, but just as a person in your own life. Like I've seen literally that transformation. Obviously, there were dips at certain points, but the way you handle yourself, I think, was very commendable, and it played a big part in, you know, transforming your whole business. Obviously, me being there in the back end, hiring people, recruiting, managing the teams, managing the systems, all that stuff, it helps. But at the end of the day, it's your business, and I think you handle
Mm.
yourself very well. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you so much. That's really nice of you. And honestly, like you played an enormous, you know, role in that. Like I can't express enough. Like all my network, you know, my little circle, like they know who it is. You're like, sorry, Freddy's calling, you know? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, go, go, go. How's Freddie doing and this and that, you know? Because they just know how much you help me and are helping me, you know. So yeah, it's insane. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it as well. Because it's really important, you know. You know how it is, right? Like in
Yeah.
business, there's like three sides of you, right? That you're trying to manage. So being able to still be yourself and being able to manage these three sides of you is yeah, a goal of mine as well, I think. So yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Thanks to
All right.
you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I really appreciate this time. And yeah, I hope this helps anyone watching kind of get an insight on what it's like to work with me and you know, hopefully get them to pull the trigger. Because yeah, there's really nothing else to it. It's really just mastering yourself, and then the business growth will come. And then if you have someone like me helping you along the way, it just makes the whole process easier.
Exactly, 100% can't. There's nothing else to add, you know? So exactly.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll end it here. And yeah, take care.
Nice, lovely. Bye.
Bye.